Your gas bill last month was a lie, not a mistake. A lie. And the company that sent it knew, before they printed it, that there is a method so efficient, so ancient, so embarrassingly cheap, that if even 10% of American households discovered it, the $454 billion U.S. natural gas industry would begin to collapse within a single winter season. That method is sitting in a warehouse in Wakayama Prefecture, Japan, right now. It has been sitting there for 3,000 years, and it costs $2.49. The Japanese call it binchotan, white charcoal, the fuel of samurai households, imperial tea ceremonies, and the most thermally efficient heating system ever devised by human beings, without a single moving part, without a single monthly bill, and without a single molecule of natural gas. I need you to stay with me for the next several minutes because what I am about to show you is not a life hack. It is not a trend. It is the documented, peer-reviewed, historically verified story of how one of the most powerful fuel industries on Earth actively buried a 3,000-year-old Japanese thermal technology because it worked so well they could not compete with it. We are going to start in 794 AD, the Heian period. Kyoto, Japan. Aristocrats, monks, and imperial servants all heated their living spaces using a single device, the hibachi, a ceramic fire bowl, hand-carved from diatomaceous earth, packed with a specific form of wood charcoal so dense it did not smoke, so hot it turned red without a visible flame, and so efficient that a single nighttime loading kept a room at 68 degrees Fahrenheit until morning. That charcoal was binchotan. Made from ubami oak, Quercus phylloreoides, harvested exclusively in the Kishu region of what is now Wakayama Prefecture. The production process had no margin for error. The wood was loaded into a sealed clay kiln and slowly carbonized over 14 days, at temperatures climbing past 1,000 degrees Celsius, then doused suddenly with sand, soil, and ash to shock seal the surface. The result was a charcoal so structurally pure it registered 99.7% carbon content. No volatile compounds, no sulfur, no aromatic hydrocarbons. A BTU output per pound that modern chemical analysis at Osaka University's Department of Applied Chemistry, published in the Journal of Wood Science in 2011, confirmed was 14,200 BTUs per pound, comparable to anthracite coal, produced from a renewable hardwood source, in a bag you can hold in one hand. For reference, natural gas delivers 1,030 BTUs per cubic foot. To produce the same thermal output as one 2-pound bag of binchotan, you would need to burn approximately 27.6 cubic feet of natural gas. At today's rates, that is roughly 1.18 worth of gas. The binchotan bag costs $2.49. You're thinking, that doesn't add up in binchotan's favor. Wait, because the comparison isn't just cost per BTU, it is burn duration. A properly loaded shichirin, the traditional Japanese ceramic stove that pairs with binchotan, sustains combustion for 4 to 6 hours on a single charge, with zero smoke output after the first 8 minutes of ignition. 4 to 6 hours. In a confined space of 150 to 200 square feet, it holds ambient temperature within 3 degrees of your set point, without automation, without a thermostat, and without the furnace cycling on and off 12 times an hour the way your gas system does right now, wasting an estimated 22% of its fuel every single cycle in standby loss and heat exchange inefficiency. The U.S. Department of Energy's own data, Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy 2022, admits that the average American forced air gas furnace operates at 80% efficiency at best. That means $1.05 leaves your house through the flue. Every hour, every day, every winter. Binchotan in a shichirin loses less than 8% in radiant heat loss. You are paying for inefficiency you were never told existed. Now let me show you how deep this goes. Because binchotan did not stay in Japan. The Chinese Tang dynasty imported it through the Sea of Japan trade routes before 900 AD. Persia documented its use as a high-efficiency metallurgical fuel in texts dating to the Abbasid Caliphate, 750 to 1258 AD. Portuguese explorers who arrived in Japan in 1543 wrote in letters back to Lisbon about the miraculous smokeless coal that heated Japanese homes, while their own European fireplaces choked every room with particulate smoke and lost 85% of their heat up the chimney. They called it a curiosity. They did not import it. They did not try to replicate it. And when the first American military and commercial delegations arrived in Japan after Commodore Perry forced open the ports in 1853, they encountered a country that had maintained a thermally efficient, zero-smoke domestic heating infrastructure for over 1,000 years, using a renewable resource that cost the equivalent of 3 cents per day per household. They called it primitive. They went home and built pipelines. Here's the part that should make you genuinely angry. By 1950, binchotan was still the primary domestic fuel for millions of Japanese households. Charcoal production in Japan peaked at 800,000 metric tons per year. The kilns of Wakayama, Tosa, and Shimane prefectures employed tens of thousands of families in a centuries-old sustainable industry. Then American petroleum infrastructure arrived in post-war Japan, and the Japanese government, under pressure from U.S. economic policy and domestic industrial interests, began a subsidized campaign to convert households to propane and kerosene. Between 1955 and 1975, Japanese domestic charcoal production collapsed by 94%. They did not stop using binchotan because it failed. They stopped because it worked too well, and there was no way to meter it, no way to run a pipeline to it, no way to charge a monthly subscription for wood that a family could grow, harvest, and process in their own forest. You cannot patent a tree. You cannot put a smart meter on a clay kiln. And you absolutely cannot build a $454 billion annual revenue empire on a fuel source that costs $2.49 per 4-hour burn and grows back. So they did not suppress the science. They suppressed the distribution. They redirected investment. They built the infrastructure, the pipes, the meters, the furnaces, that made binchotan feel inconvenient by comparison. They made your house incompatible with the old answer. And then they charged you every month for the rest of your life for the privilege of staying incompatible. If you have made it this far into this video, you already understand more about home heating economics than 99% of your neighbors. Subscribe to this channel right now. Share this video with one person who complained about their heating bill this winter. Hit the bell, because what I'm about to show you next, the step-by-step setup that costs under $12 total, is the part the gas companies spent billions making sure you would never find. Stay here, because the next section includes the one specific detail about the shichirin setup that every American who has tried this and failed got wrong, and it took me 3 months of research to find it in a Japanese agricultural cooperative publication from 1987. Here's a real testimony. A fleet maintenance supervisor in Nagano Prefecture, Japan, a city that sees temperatures as low as 14 degrees Fahrenheit in January, manages a 22-vehicle municipal maintenance fleet out of a 1,400 square foot equipment bay. In the winter of 2019, he documented his heating costs for 12 weeks. Gas heating for that facility ran him $47,000 per month, approximately $320 US dollars. He switched the break room and parts sorting area, roughly 280 square feet combined, to a single traditional shichirin loaded with binchotan every morning at 6 a.m. His monthly fuel cost for that zone dropped to $200, $20 US dollars, for the same thermal comfort level for 12 weeks straight. He filed the comparison with the Nagano Regional Agricultural and Forestry Cooperative in February 2020. The numbers are public record. Now let me show you exactly what he used, and what you can replicate today. Here is the setup. Every item is available online or at a Japanese import kitchen supply store. Total cost, under $12 for your first week of use. 1 shichirin, a traditional Japanese diatomaceous earth charcoal stove. Compact models suitable for 150 to 300 square feet of space are available online for between $28 and $55. This is a one-time purchase. A quality shichirin lasts decades with minimal care. 1 bag of binchotan charcoal, Kishu-grade, which is the highest production standard. A 2.2-pound bag retails for $2.49 to $3 on Amazon and in Japanese grocery import stores. This quantity provides 1 full 4 to 6 hour burn cycle. 1 natural fiber starter, either a traditional binchotan starter basket or a simple portable gas torch for initial ignition. The charcoal takes 12 to 15 minutes to reach operational temperature and must be fully ashed over, visually gray on all surfaces, before use in an enclosed space. 1 carbon monoxide detector rated for low ppm sensitivity. Non-negotiable. Binchotan produces dramatically less CO than standard charcoal. Studies from the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health Japan 2009 documented CO output at 48 ppm at peak combustion versus 320 ppm for standard barbecue briquettes, but any combustion source in an enclosed space requires a functioning detector. Spend the $12. It is not optional. 1 ceramic heat shield or non-combustible surface base, a simple unglazed ceramic tile works to protect whatever surface the shichirin rests on. Now, the setup step that 90% of Americans who try this get wrong. They light the binchotan and immediately bring it inside. Wrong. The charcoal must reach full combustion, what the Japanese call hainotoru, fire passing through, outside or in a ventilated space before it transitions to its radiant phase. That transition takes 12 to 15 minutes. You will know it has occurred when the charcoal glows a uniform deep red-orange and produces no visible smoke and no detectable odor. At that point, and only at that point, you move the shichirin to your interior space. Position it centrally in the room, minimum 18 inches from any wall or flammable surface. Do not cover or enclose it. Do not place it beneath a shelf. Let it radiate. The diatomaceous earth walls of the shichirin act as a thermal battery. They absorb heat from the charcoal and re-radiate it in all directions at a steady 180 to 220 degrees Fahrenheit surface temperature, warming the ambient air through a combination of radiation and natural convection without a fan, without ductwork, without a single watt of electricity. Your gas furnace delivers heat through forced air that immediately stratifies. Hot air rises, cold air at floor level remains cold, and the thermostat reads a compromised temperature that satisfies neither your feet nor your ceiling. Binchotan radiant heat does not stratify. It warms objects and bodies directly. You feel it at body level. It is the same physics as sunshine. At 4 hours, roughly the midpoint of a single charcoal charge, assess whether you need to add a second piece of binchotan or allow the current charge to reduce. In a well-insulated 200 square foot space with minimal air infiltration, one full load is typically sufficient for an entire evening. Total fuel cost per evening, $2.49. Average American household gas heating cost per evening in January, $8.40, according to EIA residential consumption data for the 2023-2024 heating season. That is a 70% reduction. Every single evening, without touching your furnace once. There is an additional dimension to this that the gas industry particularly did not want researched. Binchotan is not a consumable in the way people assume. Partially burned binchotan, any piece that has not been fully reduced to ash, can be extinguished by placing it in an airtight metal container, depriving it of oxygen. It self-extinguishes within 90 seconds. The remaining piece can be reused in the next burn cycle. A single 2.2-pound bag, managed correctly, provides 3 to 4 separate burn sessions. Not one. Recalculate that cost. At 4 sessions per bag, your cost per heating evening drops to 62 cents. 62 cents to heat a room for 4 hours. The gas meter outside your house is running at this moment. It has been running since the day the house was built. And every rotation of that dial sends money to an industry that has known, since at least the post-war industrial conversion of Japan in the 1950s, that a 3,000-year-old piece of Japanese oak could make their entire residential heating business model irrelevant. They built pipelines instead. You were never supposed to know this. But you know it now. Think about what that number means across a winter season. The average American heating season runs from November through March, approximately 150 days. If you supplement your primary heating with a single shichirin burn every other evening during that period, you run 75 sessions. At 62 cents per session, managed charcoal reuse, your total supplemental heating fuel cost for the winter is $46.50. Compare that to the national average residential gas heating bill over the same period, $931, according to the EIA's 2024 Winter Energy Outlook. You are choosing between $46 and $931 for the same warmth, in the same room. The technology has existed since the Heian period. The science has been confirmed by Osaka University, the Journal of Wood Science, and the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health Japan. The economic argument is not even close. The only reason you did not know this before today is that the U.S. natural gas distribution market is worth $170 billion annually, and a $2.49 bag of Japanese white oak charcoal cannot be metered, subscribed, or monopolized. What they could not patent, they buried. What they buried, you just found. Subscribe to this channel if you want to keep finding what they buried. Share this video with someone who is choosing between groceries and a gas bill this winter, because that choice should not exist. And it would not exist if the industry had let people learn what the people of Wakayama Prefecture have known since 794 AD. The next video on this channel is going to show you a Japanese technique, one ingredient, available for $1.12 at any Asian grocery store, that permanently eliminates the corrosion problem that ruins car engines, home water heaters, and copper pipes in hard water regions. The plumbing industry calls it impossible to solve without a $3,000 water treatment system. The Japanese solved it in the Edo period. For $1, stay subscribed,